Before we get too far in today's video, I just want to give a quick apology for the lack of content over the last, I would say, I guess, almost 15 days, over 2 weeks. Life just got really busy for me, haven't had time to really sit down and make a video, but I've got a lot coming out for you guys in the next couple of weeks, a lot of content coming out, basically every second day there will be a video, so keep an eye out for that, turn on notifications if you already haven't. So let's jump into today's video for today. Now, what I want to talk about is similar to what I talked about in a video I did a couple weeks ago, talking about what the Jets' defensive core could look like going into the 2020-2021 NHL season, whenever that decides to kick up and start, because we really have no idea what that is. This is all just speculation. Let me know your guys' thoughts on what you'd like to think the lineup would look like going on to next season down in the comments below, as always, and thank you guys for so much support, as always, on the channel. I know I've been gone, but you guys still been killing it with the views, checking out all the old videos, and I just want to say that I'm really grateful you guys are enjoying the content, and let's talk about what I think the Jets' forward core should look like moving into next season. Now, obviously, there's a lot of conversation about what the Winnipeg Jets' first line should be. A lot of fans think that Nikolai Ehlers and Patrik Laine should be on there, and I'm one for that. But realistically, looking at what I think this team's best structure is moving forward into next season, at least to start the season, I think keeping the first line of Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Blake Wheeler, at least to see if they can get some connection, get some chemistry getting back, and see if the game is still there. I do know Blake Wheeler is getting older in age, and that play and that consistency that he's been at for the last couple of years is going to obviously go down with age, but I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff anytime soon and become a bad player, even if he's an overpaid player at this point. Blake Wheeler is still a fantastic guy to have in your top six and is a legit elite threat offensively in any lineup really in the NHL. But looking at that first line, I don't really see a lot of holes. Obviously, you can go back and contradict that I just said about holes in the lineup compared to the game and with how they played last season, because we have seen a lot of this first line, but I would like to see that at least start this way to start the season and then trying to shuffle the way we go through, because our top six is going to be different, because now that we have the acquisition of Paul Stastny, we do have a legit second line center, even though some people would like to think that Paul Stastny, due to his play last year in Vegas, is more of a third line guy. I think that Paul Stastny, surrounded by the right offensive weapons, could be very beneficial, and that's why I think having him on the second line with Ehlers and Laine is the best bet moving forward, because in my opinion, you're rolling out two first lines. Yes, the first line obviously has a lot of talent on there in Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Blake Wheeler, but when you look at the second line, if they can play even similarly to how they played when we acquired Paul Stastny back in 2017-18 season, and he can bring him back to that level, get Patrik Laine up, get him scoring more goals, I think it could be really dynamic for the top six. And the reason I think that is because in today's NHL, having a first line is kind of, doesn't exist anymore. That stereotypical first line, your best players, fourth line, your worst players, doesn't really exist in my mind anymore. If you're a good coach and a good structured team, you want to be able to, all your lines be beneficial in certain parts of the game. And I think having these two lines in this top six looking this way moving forward could be really beneficial, because you have that offensive threat the second line brings with Patrik Laine, Ehlers, and Stastny, but you also have the offensive threat of Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele being there as well, with addition to Blake Wheeler's offensiveness as well. So I think that as a top six, you can shuffle that around a lot, but I think for the majority, keeping it that way is kind of what most Jets fans would like to see the start of the season. But what gets really interesting, in my opinion, moving into next year is what the bottom six would look like. The Winnipeg Jets have a lot of prospects that are considered that bottom six type of filler prospect role. Not elite guys, but guys that are ready to make the NHL, that can contribute on a day-to-day night in different ends of the ice, hitting, playing defense, blocking shots, and so forth. That type of gritty guy that you want to have on the team. And the Jets have had really good guys in the past, but last season, in my opinion, they lost a little bit of that grit. They didn't have the physicality that you want to see from an NHL level team, and I think moving next year, we could see a little bit more change in that, especially with the emergence of Christian Vesalainen out in Liga right now. I think that the third line next year should be Andrew Kopp, Adam Lowry, and Christian Vesalainen. Any one of those guys you could swap around in different positions, in my opinion, but I think a line like that could be really beneficial. Andrew Kopp and Adam Lowry are great, heavy guys with the hands. They don't like to drop the gloves every once in a while. They hit, they skate well, they block shots, they do everything a third line needs to be, and Andrew Kopp brings some offense to that as well. But Christian Vesalainen is the really big wild card, I think, for that line. I think if Vesalainen can bring over the patience and the offensive selection that he's learned to possess back in Liga and he's brought back to his game, if he can bring that back to the Jets and to show that in training camp whenever we have this season, I think having him on a third line like that could be really beneficial, because Vesalainen is not only starting to show that he has offensive upside in his shot selection and his shot types and everything like that. His wrist shots become very more accurate and harder, so is his slap shot, and because of that and the fact that Christian Vesalainen is a big guy with a lot of height and is a big bruising power forward, in my opinion. That's the way he should play the game, with good shot selection. I think having him on a line like that would really work well if his game translates to the NHL after what he's shown in the Liga. but that's just my opinion. I think a third line like that could be really beneficial. Now, the fourth line is where I think most Jets fans will differ with me, but hear me out before you get too all, your buttons in a twist and everything. I think having Matthew Perreault, Nate Thompson, and Jansen Harkins is the best way to go. Now, in my opinion, Nate Thompson's a guy who needs to be in the lineup consistently because the Jets do have almost no guys that are willing to fight, get a little dirty, and play that type of gritty hockey that you need for the bottom six, especially for the fact that, in my opinion, the Jets kind of got skated all over the ice and hit all over the ice last year. There wasn't that, Dustin Byfuglien type of presence that teams knew that they would have to deal with, right? And I think Nate Thompson brings that. He's a really good fourth liner in his age. He plays the game well in the side. He's good at faceoffs, good at fighting, good at hitting, good at blocking shots, and also, not to mention, Jansen Harkins is looking like he could be a really good piece moving forward for the Jets. Now, I've always had a lot of faith in him, especially when he was drafted in the second round way back when. I thought he was a fantastic pick for the Jets, and I thought that he could even be more at the time of a better steal than what even I thought Nick Petan could be at the time. And he's really starting to show that he could have that offensive upside and that defensive side to his game that could really make him a solidified bottom six to even borderline top six guy depending on injuries. And I think having him with Nate Thompson and Matthew Perreault just has a lot of leadership and grit in there. Matthew Perreault is a guy who's played everywhere in the lineup consistently in his career, and I think having him with Jansen Harkins and Nate Thompson could be really good for his development in the NHL, getting him more ready and comfortable for that position, getting more physical, bringing offense to it as well, and because he does have good offense. And also, Matthew Perreault is a guy who I think a lot of Jets fans do sleep on, including myself. I think that when he is healthy, when he is on the right line with the right person, he can be a very, very, very underrated asset to a team, and I think that he brings good offensive upside as well. So having him, Harkins, and Thompson on a fourth line like that in a bottom six already with Andrew Kopp, Adam Lowry, and potentially Kristen Vesalainen, in my opinion, has a lot of dynamicsy to it and can overall really change the flow of a game depending on when you put those guys on and depending on who you match them up with, depending on the certain game and whatnot. But again, these are just my thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts on what the lineup should be moving forward? Do you agree with my opinions? Do you think that the lineup should be a little different? Do you think that Mason Appleton makes it over Jansen Harkins? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below as always. Again, if you are new to the channel and you enjoyed this video and you were a fan of hockey, regardless of what team you root for, definitely consider dropping a subscription as we are approaching that 400 subscriber mark and trying to get to that 500 subscriber mark as well. Thank you guys again for all the support. I know I say that a lot, but you guys really do kill it, and I wouldn't be making these videos without you guys watching them, so thank you for that. Glad you enjoyed the content. Peace, love, positivity. I will see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go.